Vamos a hablar de este tema justamente en los próximos minutos con Jon Rahbek-Clemmensen, es jefe de sección en el Centro de Estudios de Seguridad Ártica del Instituto de Estrategia y Estudios de Guerra en la Real Academia de Defensa de Dinamarca. Hello, Jon. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being with us today, Jon.
Well, thank you for having me.
NATO has announced, we are talking about that, NATO has announced today a deployment in the Baltic Sea against Russia's sabotage of submarine cables. Tell us, please, some details.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you may know, there's been a lot of attempts to, or a lot of incidents that may be examples of sabotage by a malignant actor in the Baltic Sea, and there's been a really strict need for a response by NATO or by the states in the Baltic Sea, and this is a first step towards a response like that.
Do you think the tension in the area will increase with this NATO's decision of today?
Well, I think it's really important that the NATO countries actually are able to deter malignant actions by Russia and by some of the other actors who may be involved in these incidents. And actually, I think if NATO is able to deter future incidents, that'll actually increase stability in the Baltic Sea. However, of course, it is likely that that Russia, at least publicly, will react to any additional NATO involvement in the Baltic Sea.
And Jon, what's the Denmark's position on this issue?
I think that Denmark's position is that that it's really important that that these incidents are deterred, and that it's possible to avoid future incidents in the Baltic region. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another topic of the Trump's idea of annexion of Greenland. What do you think of this Trump's idea? The initiative by Donald Trump is in many ways really puzzling when you look at American interests in Greenland. The situation today is that the U.S. is already achieving all its interest in Greenland. The U.S. basically wants to do three things in Greenland. It wants access to Greenland's military geography. It wants to get access to mining in Greenland, and it wants to be able to avoid a Chinese presence in Greenland. However, it already has the access that it needs, and if it wants more access, I think Denmark and Greenland would be very interested in further cooperation about that, and it could easily be achieved. Similarly, the U.S. can already easily get access to Greenlandic minerals. If American companies want to invest in Greenlandic mining, I think the Greenlanders would be very interested in getting American investments in. And China hasn't really shown an interest in Greenland for several years. So in that sense, the U.S. is already getting what it wants. But on the other hand, in the current situation, the U.S. doesn't have to pay the bill of maintaining or the bill associated with running Greenlandic society, and that's in that sense the U.S. is having its cake and eating it too. It gets what it wants, but it doesn't have to pay the bill. And I quite honestly don't understand why Donald Trump would try to change that. In my opinion, it has more to do with his ideology, this idea of making America great again, than it actually has that much to do with geopolitics. Because geopolitically speaking, the U.S. is already getting what it wants today.
And what do you think on the Greenland's recent offer to Donald Trump's idea?
Well, I think Greenland has been using this to gain more attention to the possibilities of investments in Greenland. And while in the beginning of this whole episode, I believe that some Greenlandic policymakers kind of overplayed their hand a little bit. One of them went out and invited Donald Trump to come to Greenland, and I think that was viewed as a little bit of a misstep, at least here in Copenhagen, because the thing that's really important to know is that the Greenland can only pursue its own foreign policy as long as the policy initiative in question only is related to Greenland itself. And in this current incident, Denmark, I think, would insist to be sitting at the table as well. So in many ways, the Greenlanders went against the way that foreign policy is normally handled within the Kingdom of Denmark. But after a few days of stumbling, I think Denmark and Greenland found common ground, and since they've found common ground, I think they've been pursuing a very well coordinated line that'll make it very difficult for Donald Trump to argue that the Greenlanders want to join the U.S. because a majority, all of the parties in the Greenlandic Parliament have gone out and said that they don't want to join Greenland. The Greenlandic government has said that they don't want to join the U.S. And in that sense, Denmark and Greenland are now in alignment.
Jon Rahbek, thank you for being with us today. Thank you very much for being with Negocios TV today. Jon Rahbek-Clemmensen.
Thank you.